So the most extreme consequences of complacency for me when I was in Afghanistan could have been me being shot, or even worse, allowing one of my brothers to the left or right of me be shot. But you don't have to worry about that. The consequences of complacency for you could be your marriage, your health, your career. And that's why today we're going to talk about why it's important to stay sharp and avoid complacency. Welcome to the Rise to Thrive show. I am your host, James Baldwin. And if you are coming through, then please do let me know. Either drop a love heart, please do comment if complacency is something you struggle with. And maybe even if you want to, share that consequence that you faced as a result. And if you know anyone else that might benefit from this, tag them in or share it with them. Okay, it's important we get it out there. How are we doing? Everyone all right? Hope you're good. Wednesday, midweek. Hope you're feeling strong, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So I want to talk about complacency. Quite often we work really hard to get to a particular point, whether it's in our physical state, in our health, in our running, in our career, in our business, in our relationships. We work really hard to get there. And to even start that journey, just getting off the floor to get started could have taken a monumental effort to get you to that place. But quite often is the case that we get to a particular point and we lose that drive, that passion, or that fulfillment, and things become stale. We achieve a half marathon and have worked really hard to achieve that half marathon, and then we take our foot off the gas. We work really hard to get into a relationship. After about a year of the relationship, we become complacent. You end up getting a job you're desperately wanting to do or building up a business. Then you just become complacent. And complacency is almost taking your foot off the gas. So it's no longer sharpening the sword. You're no longer sharp. And you feel like you've made it. You feel like half marathon's enough. I don't need to achieve anything else again. Now, the way that we avoid complacency, and it's the thing that I try and teach everybody, is by having long-term visions, long-term goals, understanding that everything that we're achieving is one small part of a bigger picture. Because when we have a mission, a vision, and we are working towards something that's on a much bigger plane, I'd like to think that complacency doesn't kick in quite as much as it should. Because once we go along, we tick off that one thing, then we move on to the next. And that's what's important. One of the most important things to recognise is that you are actually being complacent. It's very much like Monday when I spoke about drinking. One of the first steps to stop drinking is accept that you have a drink problem. One of the first steps to stop complacency is to accept that you've become complacent. Acceptance and acknowledgement. That's key, right? It's absolutely key. And it happens to everybody. But the way that we get ourselves out of it is by recognising that and understanding it. And that is part of learning in our process and our journey on our path. Man, look, I've taken my foot off the gas. I feel like I've made it, but really now I start going backwards. Boom. Okay, that then allows you then to dictate the next move. Okay, so I'm going to start running again and start building up. If you are going to do an event, I remember when I did my first 100 miler. Did my first 100 miler in 2017. That was in June. I didn't do anything again for 9 months. 9 months. And that was because I'd become so complacent. I'd worked so hard for 6 months that I didn't plan what was next. that I didn't think beyond the 100-miler. Even though I had my mission and my vision, I didn't really actually have anything down on paper. I didn't really accept that I was being complacent. I was in denial, if anything. And it really affected my health because I put on the weight, as you would. So when you accept it, it's a case of going, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And that's why it's really, really important. I've got to sit down here a minute. That's why it's really, really important to always be forward thinking, to always be proactive. Because if you don't, what's going to happen with those relationships of yours? Like, the worst case here is being in a marriage and becoming complacent in that marriage. What that then happens is that you lose communication, you lose understanding, and you lose that connection that you had. And then suddenly the next thing you know, you see is you're breaking up, or somebody's having an affair with somebody else. And it's the same with health. You start piling on the weight. With your career or your job, you start making mistakes, and you start getting noticed for the wrong reasons. So we stay sharp all the time by working on ourselves, by having a morning routine, by having a fitness routine, okay, by studying, by holding a journal, okay, by being part of a group, by having coaching sessions, by reading, by learning. And by doing those things, we always keep ourselves sharp. Now, when you are sharp, you don't become complacent, right? You don't. You simply don't. You look at a footballer, okay, and they're sharp. Their drills are sharp. Their movement is sharp because they are consistently on it. There's people keeping them accountable so that they can't become complacent. And that's the other thing, is when you become complacent, we have to look at how can we be more accountable? How can someone hold us accountable more so that when we do hit that complacency, someone can turn around and say, hey, buddy, what's going on here? And that gives you that nudge as well. So I think as an action point moving forwards, I want you to write down all of the things that you're being complacent with now, like all of the things, and be honest. Because what it's going to do is open up everything that's going on up in your mind where you are being complacent. And I want you, hello beauty, and I want you to write those things down. And I want you to write one thing that you're going to do to flip it 180, okay? So it doesn't matter if there's 10 things, it doesn't matter if there's 2 things, just stop and process. Actually, what am I being complacent about? Maybe it's your marriage, maybe it's your job, maybe it's something in your job, maybe it's making excuses to go to the gym, maybe it's your nutrition and your calories, who knows? But then just one counter to it, one action plan that is going to turn it around, and then follow it through. And if you do it, I want you to screenshot your list and I want you to stick it down below. This is accountability. This is accountability. And then I want you to put it in the comments below, and I want you to tell me the one thing that you're going to do today and the rest of the week to combat that complacency. Instead of just listening to this, I want you to start taking action. And when you take action, more things happen, right? It's like reading a book, putting it down and doing nothing with it. This content, do something with it. I look forward to seeing those lists. I'll see you on Friday.